Welcome to Speak Up. I'm Kevin Avard, your host, and today we have a special edition. We're continuing a story that we've been following for a series with the mortgage specialist, Mr. Mike Gill. We've seen 2 or 3 films here on Speak Up, and we've aired a couple of other shows where Mike has talked on a billboard of the corruption that he is dealing with here in New Hampshire. Other states are dealing with this as well. Like I said, I asked Mike to come back on the show to talk about where he stands now and what's going on. Maybe put a couple more pieces of the puzzle back so that we can understand really this complex web a little better. So Mike, thanks for coming back on the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
I appreciate it.
What I want to do is show people that this is organized crime.
Right.
And I want you to see it. I started by talking about it, and then went over and had a video and showed you all the players, named the players and how it's done. And then I took you into a courtroom, a trial. And you seen a judge that I called corrupt earlier. And you saw him being corrupt. You saw the president of the New England Bar Association being corrupt. You saw forgeries. But I want to show you more.
Right.
We're going to keep doing this. I brought this check for $100,000. It's made out to the city of Haverhill. And you'll see it was for a traffic light. Any other use would be unlawful.
That's what you wrote on the description.
Right. It's called insight.
Why did you write this check?
Because I knew they were corrupt. I knew I was being strong-armed by Shaheen and Gordon. R.B. Saunders, the attorney, was calling me every day, give them 100. My sign was legal. All the other signs that I've had was legal. I never had to pay any money. And then R.B. Saunders, and why this is important. I'm going to take you back to the trial that you saw. Well, when John Ross had left, Jim 10 went on. Do you know what happened in the next hearing? That same R.B. Saunders, the same guy that made me write this check, that I never wanted to speak to again, showed up in court. And guess what? They kicked us out of that courtroom. The judge had a conflict with R.B., and we're in Rochester. We're in Tober's backyard. We didn't win another hearing. R.B. Saunders I wasn't talking to anymore because he strong-armed me for $100,000. Now, I called the city of Haverhill just a couple days ago. Mr. Pillsbury. Guess what? They wanted me to talk to the engineer. What do you mean? 8 years later we're going to have a light now? How about we have a light 200 yards down the road? You know why I know? They took my land to make it in the city of, or town of Plastow. Now let's do something. You see this $100,000? We know they didn't use it. We told them it was lawful to use it for anything else. What's the bet? There was some kind of cut between Shaheen and Gordon, Bill Shaheen, and the city of Haverhill. Let's investigate. I'll give it to the FBI in Massachusetts. And let's see how that goes. It's the same guy who violated us out of that divorce and moved us to Rochester.
Wait,
the same guy.
Was the check canceled?
Oh no. Check was cashed. Let's find out where the money went. Remember I told you about the mafia? What do they own? Well, they own politicians. I think I made that clear. They own the judges. Have you met Judge McHugh? And they strong-arm you. Businesses. Just like this. I mean, that's clear. I took you into the courtroom because I want you to see it. I want to explain it to you. And every deposition that'll follow in the other cases, I have approval for a camera in there. You're going to meet each and every one of them.
What would have happened if you hadn't written this check out?
Well, they threatened to close the sign down, even though it's legal. Even though it went up in every other place, and I never had an issue. This was strong-arming. This is what the mob does. This is part of the payoff. You think I'm the only businessman that has this done? My phone rings off the hook. I don't go to sleep till 1, 2 in the morning by taking all these phone calls. Numerous cases, and you know what? It goes back to the same guys. It goes back to the same techniques.
Now, one of the things that people are going to be seeing is we're going to actually take them into the courtroom. This very courtroom that you're talking about. Excuse me, but one of the things I thought was, you looked at the judge, Mr. Judge McHugh, and you pointed to him and said, you're corrupt. There aren't too many people that do that.
Well, How about this? They've tried to intimidate me from the beginning. Hildreth goes to the judge. You know he has it on your signs, Your Honor.
Who's Hildreth?
Hilliard. He was the lawyer for John Ross,
Now,
who was the president of the Bar Association. So they wanted to set up from the beginning
right.
that these guys were going to bully me. And they were going to turn around and Judge McHugh was going to, listen, you know I think you're corrupt, Your Honor. The whole thing's a setup. I already know what's going to happen.
Let me set the stage here real quick, Mike, if you don't mind. There was a jury. You looked at the judge. You were pro se, meaning you didn't have a lawyer. You did not have an attorney representing you. You might have been looking for an attorney, but when the bar president of New England is representing the previous bar president of New England, is it hard to find an attorney that'll represent you?
Well, the question should be, out of 4,141 attorneys, why can't I get one? Listen, I'm going to put a job posting right now. You ready? $1 million. That's right, $1 million. All you got to do is be honest, little courage, and I don't care what kind of attorney you are. I'll do the rest. How's that? All you got to do is be honest and brave. So the thing here is, it's not just them. It's all rigged. You're the last one to find out.
But what struck me when I was looking at the video is that you have the bar president representing the previous bar president.
Right.
All I could think about is Lois Lerner and the chilling effect. You know, because how do I bring that relationship? Well, if we can just stifle his representation, if you represent Mike Gill, do you think you'll ever work in New England again as an attorney?
Oh, what does 4,000 people know? Exactly that. But you know something? Listen, I've been asking for help. I don't even want your help anymore. I'll take care of this myself. You look at the trial. You tell me if I didn't kick his ass. And the reason why they had to stop the trial and they couldn't give it to the jury because they knew what was going to happen. They got caught. They got caught with a forgery.
Right.
They had Judge McHugh interrupting me, referring to the welfare of Wiggins and Norrie, where you can see that they were closing down.
Who referred John Ross to you?
Alex Walker. So if you go back to the growth chart of this organization of crime, you'll see that Walker communicated with all of them. With Ross, Walker got us 10. Walker's got us Coughlin. That's why when I was questioning Ross about why he was talking to Walker, he couldn't tell us that reason why, but that's what it was.
Now, Wiggins and Norrie was in trouble financially at the time that you hired them. And so basically Walker said to you, or listen, go to these guys, they'll represent you. Now, I have to make this point up because it's very, very critical. And it's important that you understand this. When I had Mike on for the first time, when I closed out the show, I believed him. I understood what he was saying because of all the other cases that I was working on. There are about 28 that are actually logged in the New Hampshire House calendar. But the thing that struck me was the fact that when Mike said his lawyer and her lawyer did vacations together. They were best of friends. I brought this up because in that, excuse me, in that court hearing, you can hear John Ross under oath say, yes, I was best friends with him. And I didn't think that it was necessary to tell you. So $4 million, $5 million later, you find out that both lawyers were good buddies. Oops. And what they wanted Mike to do was sign a release form to release them from any wrongdoing. If this is what a multimillionaire has to go through, what are your chances of getting justice? Did I properly represent that?
You did, but
There's more to it, obviously.
Oh, there's some. What you have to know is it's the Beth friend routine. It's what Kakavas did with Howard and FRM. And let's not forget, Kakavas worked for John Ross. This is a trained situation here. Do you know what Tober is? Tober is the guy that goes in when you're in trouble. Why do you think I asked him, did he represent you? Well, yes. When? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, 3 days before? Don't remember that?
I remember hearing that.
You better believe. And then he represented Wiggins and Norrie. And if you read Dallas Sedgwick's statements, he represented him a lot. She was bringing it to him, saying, why aren't you informing him? Why aren't you? They had to maintain the corruption. In the beginning, it was just to steal millions. And then it went to steal millions and protect Ronnie Wise. Did you see how many times?
Ronnie Weiss is the president of what?
She is the president of the PCC. So if you had a complaint with an attorney, you'd call Ronnie Wise. Ain't that a joke? And you know what was before her? Her attorney. So what happened was, Ross, every time he goes, oh, were the records destroyed? We found out they were destroyed 3 different ways.
Right.
He doesn't buy it. You know why? He knows that she had them. That's why he avoided that question. And you know why he didn't get the records from Dr. Garber? Because they were negative what Clay was saying.
And let me interject now, just for the viewers. They have to understand that Ronnie Weiss, you sued Ronnie Weiss, but Judge McHugh allowed the statutes of limitations to go through. It was 3 days over the statutes of limitations.
And that's a joke. The joke is when you know. The hearing that I would want people to look at, which was criminal, is what happened before. I had every one of them lying to me. I should have known. And who kicked Ronnie Wise out? The PCC.
Right.
And then every one of them followed. They protected themselves. All of it. I am telling you, from the governor to the senators, this is a network. I'm not missing anything. There's not one piece that I can't give you that proves this.
Now, in this hearing, we were talking, the hearing was basically about a bill. You were being billed for $100,000 or
$117,000.
And as you were going over the bill, the judge wasn't letting you talk about the merits of the bill.
They cut everything out but the bill, and they used the bill to leverage. They want to, for 117, they want 300,000 now, and they want it on bond. I'm telling you, this is leverage to negotiate. I explained to you about leverage. This is it. Well, I don't play that. All they're doing is their leverage is digging a deeper hole. I'm not getting intimidated. What you're going to see is that I also am going to do these depositions. Did you notice that not one of those attorneys showed up? Not one of those witnesses showed up. Officers of the court. You know why? They couldn't lie under oath. So McHugh turned around and says, I will have to give them an order to get them in here. He tells me in court, it's on you. When I subpoena them, they squash every one. That was a complete setup. The whole thing. But this is why I did it. This is why I brought a camera in. How about this? Do you know my cameraman was shook down and the film camera card was missing? Except for he took the one out with he filmed with and put a blank one in. Really? That's how bad they don't want you to hear this.
So I thought a compelling part of the hearing, you know, I know it's long. Some people are going to look at it when it's on TV, but if you take the time, if you're interested in justice, it's important to watch this, and we want you to be the jury. However, there was the last part of the hearing where Mr. Hilliard, is it Hilliard?
Hilliard.
Hilliard, the bar president,
Of New England.
presented you with a document.
Right.
And he said, okay, let's cut to the chase. Did you sign this document here?
Right.
And he handed it to you. You looked at it, and oops, by the way, that's not my signature.
Right. A third grader, unfortunately, could copy my signature. This was so off it was comical. And then it came to me. You know why it was off? It wasn't a fee agreement as much as it was a release. They were setting me up from the beginning because they knew they were going to rob me. That's why Sedgwick was so upset with that, because they thought they were going to use her as a buffer and they were going to go after her. They knew from the beginning they would rob us. And that's why they couldn't allow me to sign that, because I would have looked at it, rather than the fee agreement, as a release. That's why it happened.
Why didn't they let the jury see that?
Because the game was over right then.
You said right in the hearing, my license is right over there at the desk, I can show the jury, here, this is not my signature. And then, I thought a very telling part was when Hilliard said, well, didn't they mail that to you? Wait a minute. How are they going to mail me a document that I signed if I didn't sign it? There was no witness.
Well, the reason why the mailing, he said, because once I have proof it's a forgery, and we did, and now I've got one of the foremost experts in the country verifying it, they would have said, well, you would have signed it in front of him. He knew it would have been a lie. So they had to say it was mailed. Why do you even think he suggested it may have what? Survived the drowning? Because he couldn't have it come up. Because he knew it exists. What I want people to understand is, who are these people? Ross was the president of one of the largest law firms, Wiggins and Norrie. They did close down because of corruption, and they had another federal corruption case in 10. And this was federal Judge LaPlante, who tried to take the banking case. Remember, Ross is his mentor. Kakavas, the U.S. attorney, Ross and him worked together, or Ross was his boss. This is why this is important. They're all connected. I put McHugh on there as the judge, being corrupt. They run that. The reason why they can't go to any other judge, because they don't want it. It's like passing a hand grenade. They're going, you did this. You got all these guys in it. Not that they're not corrupt, but they're not picking up the hand grenade, and that's why no other witnesses coming in.
I actually did, but to get back to that signature, I did look at it, and it did look like it was the same pen, and there was no place where it said witness. Nobody witnessed it. So they presented that, and then you basically challenged it. You offered it to the jury, and then instead of the jury ruling on this, the judge dismissed the case.
I knew right then when it was a forgery. That's what, if you've seen that I was a little over the top in the beginning, because I wanted you guys to see what was going to happen. I wanted the jury to see what was going to happen. The fact that we caught him on forgery, in fact, Hilliard goes to the bench and goes, I know there are smarter jurors, Your Honor. You can hear that on the tape. And he goes, yeah, they're smart. They know what's happening. They got to go. Clear the court. And that was the end of it. I knew the night of the first day, that night, we would never go another hour in this. You can't catch them on camera. And they even shake down my camera hand to steal the film. So, you know what? I'm going to make their nightmares happen one at a time. We're going to depose them and going to put them on camera. Just think what I can do to these guys when I've got a judge that's corrupt, that's objecting, beating even Hilliard to the punch. Hilliard spent more time standing or somewhere in the middle than actually sitting. Now, get me in a deposition room with these criminals. Oh, and they're criminals. And they're going to, under oath, they're going to have to answer the questions without all these objections. Let's see who's the first one.
Why wouldn't they let you talk about the $40 million lawsuit?
Oh, you mean, not the lawsuit. You mean the settlement between 40 and 50?
Right.
Wow. They wanted to make me look like a deadbeat. But then when they turn around and open that door, and I turn around and say, well, listen, including your own client. And Hilliard went to the bench and said, I want to tell you straight up, Your Honor, that never happened. Well, I don't know. At the same time, I just posted the settlement global that included Wiggins and Norrie. So he flat out lied. And when I talked to him about the forgery, remember in court, I want an order, a preservation order. Guess what? 48 hours. Remember I told you we'd never see this? Uh-oh, it's missing. They said they gave it to Jim 10. Now what's the bet we called Jim 10 and he doesn't have it? Why would they send their own fee agreement to another? Oh, you mean it's a forgery and we got to get rid of it?
Can I ask you a question then? What does that mean? If the judge dismisses it and they don't have the actual evidence, but a copy, what does that mean for the
He didn't dismiss it. He ruled against me, and for $300,000 to create leverage. Don't forget, McHugh's in trouble too. That's it. They couldn't have the jury see it. They had to get the jury the hell out of there.
Isn't there a thing called jury nullification?
Well, there's a thing called corruption and organized crime.
Right.
That doesn't seem to get in the way. Fact is, I spoke to Andrew Hemingway, the Republican candidate running for governor. You know what he said? The Republican Party told him, don't mention FRM with Kelly Ayotte. Why is that? That's outrageous. Scott Brown announced last week he's running for senator. This may be a stepping stone, New Hampshire. But while you're stepping on our stone, here's $100,000 I think is extortion. Why don't you look at it? Why don't you, while you're stepping on a stone, help us clean this state up? Listen, the Republicans and Democrats in this state are corrupt. This is a party of corruption. It isn't separated. So he's coming in here. The Republican Party telling him not to mention FRM?
Well, he is an attorney.
Oh yeah, in one of the law firms that I'm suing. I know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I do. So here you go. What are you going to do? Is it all a game? Is it all a lie? Are we not supposed to mention FRM? The Republican Party's did they tell him not to mention FRM? I'm just proposing the question.
Who was the attorney that set up FRM?
Well, some people say it was Lynch's attorney, like me. Why do you think Lynch was gone? That was the deal. And then what happened to him? Oh, he got kicked out of the AG's office. You know what he replaced? Kelly Ayotte replaced him. The whole thing's a cover-up.
What was his name, do you know?
Delaney. Remember him?
Yes, I remember him.
There you go.
Right. So to close out the show for us, Mike, where do we go from here? Right now, we're going to be looking at the video.
You know, my problem is the we. I can't hire any attorneys. Here you go. I want you to remember, $1 million, one honest man.
Or woman.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And then, I don't even need your help. I'm going to put these on stateofcorruption.com all the time. I'm doing 400, you're going to like that, 400 one-minute commercials every week on all popular stations. And I'm going to sell mortgages like I do. And I'm going to spend a little time with the state of corruption. And I'm going to keep you to date, and I'm going to send you off to that. So I'm going to be in their faces every day. Every day I'm going to call them out.
Would it be good for, say, the next governor to set up a task force to investigate this?
Listen, I'll tell you what I told Andrew Hemingway, that I was interested in supporting him if I ran a task force. No money, don't pay me. We take attorneys and investigators from outside the state, different parts of the country, and we create a task force against corruption. Let's go to town. I know who they are, I know how to get them, everything. Just let me loose. We'll see how that happens.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming back on the show. I'll be following this, and anytime you want to come on and give us an update to talk about this, we'll definitely do that. I know from my own personal experience, of all the people that are commenting to me or approaching me, how can I find Mike Gill? Everywhere. Sometimes I forward them to you, sometimes I don't.
Listen,
I don't
forward everybody. I stay up. Listen, I understand. I'll talk to everybody about the services. I know what goes on, and I do. I spoke to a gentleman that was buying 2,000 acres in Barrington. They were going to put a hotel, a spa, except for Bill Shaheen wanted to cut. That's right. And he couldn't do anything. And he wouldn't pay him off. 2,000 acres in Barrington might have created a lot of jobs. No, I want those calls. I will take them. If you're struggling in divorce, what I want to do from here, and I talked with you, Kevin, about this, is start a mediation company. Free. I'll pay for it. Going through divorce at the beginning with children. Let's work on it that way. Let's save your money. Let's not have them take your money. I not only want to fix this, I want to find a solution going forwards.
It seems to be a racket in New Hampshire. I thought it was just New Hampshire, but it is happening across the country.
I challenge one state to be more corrupt than this.
Right.
This is complete. I mean, from the governor to the senators to the AG to the U.S. attorney to the PCC, the JCC. You can't, listen, they are a model for the Gambinos. I dare, and you know what? I looked at the 5 worst states, and New Hampshire isn't on there. I'm hoping my goal is to make us #1. Right.
To expose it.
You better believe it.
And your story came because of all the other stories. It brings a lot of credibility. There are a lot of people that, different people name the same names that you bring up. So there's a lot of smoke, and I know there's a lot of fire. And I personally will be looking into this, especially when I get elected, and I am running for Senate. And this isn't a political ad, but It's time that the people get...
Should be a political ad. We need the people going in now. We got to speak about corruption first.
It's
You
happening.
can't fix your house.
Right.
It isn't a matter of independents, Republicans, and Democrats. If it's corrupt,
That's right.
corrupt doesn't care what you believe in. That's the smoke screen. In fact, remember I told you Alex Walker was going to be governor?
Right.
From Devine. That was the payoff. Watch Devine come up with another candidate or back another candidate. Because it's their turn. See, Lynch had to go. Now it was their turn. Huh? Think that's crazy, huh? Listen, everything I'm saying I can verify. How about this? I challenged them all, any one of them to sue me. Nobody has, have they? And I challenge you still.
And with that closing thought, thanks again for coming on the show. And we appreciate you watching Speak Up. If you want to get in touch with Mike Gill, contact me at speakupnh@gmail.com. We'll forward your message to him, and look for more shows. And we thank you.
And please visit www.stateofcorruption.com. I will keep putting more pieces in there.
Right.
I am going to take you through the deposition process. You're going to watch presidents of law firms and presidents of the bars associations. You're going to get them squirm. You're going to get to see how the guilty looks. These are the same people. You see McHugh? Same people who take your children away.
And that's the point. That's the point. Until next week, thanks for watching Speak Up.